I gotta say, after I finished Dying Light 2, I was super caught off guard just how good his combat was. Maybe the best first person beat 'em up I've played. Well, it's pretty much the only one I've played, but alright. This is Combat Overview. In this series of videos I go over, what is that? The combat. To review your manual in a way, and to give a more in-depth look into what a game has to offer. Because too many reviews gloss over gameplay, calling it a button masher, or giving it the blanket statement, it's like DMC. So let's start with the basics. So we attack with R2, we do some basic swings, and each time we attack, it'll cost some stamina. So we do have to keep an eye out for it, but honestly it doesn't seem too punishing if you let it empty, since it recovers pretty much instantly. But alright, we get to choose between a one-handed and two-handed weapon. Two-handed would do more damage, but takes more stam, and longer startup. One-handed is weaker, but is faster, uses less stam, but has way less impact. All these weapons will either be a slash or blunt type. I tried to figure out what's the difference, but I couldn't really find much. Like the slash weapons can chop off limbs, so going for legs can make them crawl. It's not really consistent. So yeah, it seems like dismemberment is more of a flashy effect rather than a strategic one. Alright, so to switch our weapons, we'll press the right on D-pad. It'll just cycle through what we have on hand, and holding the right on D-pad will open up a weapon reel. The two groups of enemies we'll use weapons on are humans and zombies, and it's pretty cool how your approach to fighting each one is different. Zombies act as a wave of unrelenting force that keep rushing at all costs, while the human enemies are way more calculated. They'll space you out, dodge, block, do fake outs, they'll even reposition themselves to surround you. For me, I find them more interesting to fight, but honestly they can't beat the zombies' more unique enemy types. But even then, when it comes to the zombies, you're mostly going to see the groups of walkers. But alright, we have three options to defend ourselves. Block, dodge, or use the momentum to toss them around. Holding L1 will block and will negate damage, but instead will chip away at your stam. And definitely don't want to block against zombies, they'll quickly chip at your stam the most. But can't guard for too long either, because both human and zombie enemies will actually grab you. It does give you a chance to break out of it with this Q2E with a short window. You also move slower while guarding, and it'll kinda slow stamina's recovery, but not really. But yeah, being overly defensive though is definitely not gonna slide. But we can do our parries. Just block at the right time, and you'll do it. And after a parry, it'll stagger them, allowing us to return the favor. But that's not all we can do on a staggered enemy. This will actually set him up as an obstacle. So hold forward plus R1 to hop over them, and we can do a follow-up kick by pressing R2. And whoever we hit will be staggered too. So we can chain these, which is a good way to do some crowd control. If you hold R2, we'll do a stronger kick that'll send him flying and will lead him into a hard knockdown. But alright, not all attacks can be parried though, or blocked. Enemies will mix in powerful hits that go right through our blocks. So when you know they're going to go for it, you can tell by this red flashing. To deal with it, we gotta dodge. By pressing R1 in a direction with the left thumbstick, we can dodge left, right, or backwards. Not forward though. That'll have us jump, and that's because these two actions share the same button. Kinda gets me hit at times, but it's super rare to happen. You really gotta be fumbling with the controller to do this really. Also, dodging doesn't cost stam, but it will stop its recovery. But alright, and if you do time it right, we'll do a perfect dodge, slowing down time. Not long enough to do something we couldn't do before, but its effect is here more as a visual feedback. But it does stagger enemies, which opens them up for those options we talked about earlier. We can perfect dodge zombies too, but they're so sporadic with their attacks, making them really hard to read. And they're usually in groups, all lunging and attacking at different timings, so it's not too good to use on them. While the walkers aren't good anyways, because the other ones can definitely be perfect dodged. And you don't want to go crazy and spam dodges to try to fish for them either, because doing that will have you trip and stumble. Also with dodging and blocking, we can cancel out our basic attacks with this, on hit or whiff, or even mid startup. So we can parry and perfect dodge when needed. So if you see someone attacking and you can tell that you're not going to hit them first, so you can just react and just cancel out of whatever attack you're doing. Alright, so we know our defensive options, but the human enemies will actually defend against you too. Enemies you hit will actually try to block your attacks after being hit, but we got some options to open them up. Simplest one we got is to kick them, but holding block plus attacking will do it. This kick is also good as a spacing tool and helps keep those zombies away. Our second option is to tackle. Press square while holding block will take him to the ground. We can also use this to set up stomps or just to keep an enemy busy. It will actually interrupt their attacks too. Plus this is really good against the more stronger enemies. Keep in mind though, since you move forward with this, it'll put you right into the middle of a group, getting yourself instantly surrounded. So using this against zombies is definitely a no-go, but that also means you can do this to get out of a sticky situation since you do move forward. So you can use this to give yourself an opening in the crowd. Now, our third option, when an enemy is rushing you, pressing square and holding a direction with the left thumbstick will send them away. So we can toss an enemy into environmental kills, and if they don't fall into anything, they'll be staggered. Only when you toss them left or right. But if you toss them behind us, it'll knock them down flat, which sets up for an easy stomp. And we can do this by pressing square. Thing is though, it'll make us turn our back towards the group of enemies. So you gotta pick and choose when you want to do this, because even in the stomp animation, you're open to being hit. But you don't have to follow up if you don't want to. You can just toss them back and then get him out of a fight for a few seconds. Also, by tapping triangle, will have you turn 180. So help you quickly see what's happening behind you. The last option we have is to do a powerful attack of our own. And we do this by holding the attack button. We can do this at any point of a basic combo. So if the enemy adapts and tries to start blocking after being hit, then we can adapt too. So with one charge, we can open him up and do some damage, all while keeping our position, and not have to put our back towards the crowd or dive into it. You could walk around while you're doing it. Keep in mind that keeping it charged won't drain stam, but it will stop its recovery, and it'll use a lot of stam once you let it go too. Now if we're talking about Dying Light's combat, we can't forget about the old reliable drop kick, but sadly this time it's not that reliable. To do it, we jump and double tap L1. It's still good to send them flying, but enemies are very quick to try to punish you for doing it, and they'll also dodge it most of the time. Plus you're stuck on the ground trying to get up for a while afterwards. So I definitely only use it when it's a one-on-one, but even then it's kinda so-so. But I do like to use it to attack over distances. But the powerful move this time around is a slide. You can pretty much start it in neutral. You just gotta move forward a bit and hold circle, and you'll start moving. And this thing trips enemies. And it won't stop after hitting just one either. And you have a lot of control over it too. So if you miss someone, you can just swerve back to him. You can cancel out of it with the dodge, so it's not locked like the drop kick is. And I'm not sure if it will still go into perfect dodges, but that's because this thing knows no limit. So this is definitely a power combo in this game. Also, we have some stuff in the area to help set things up too. There's these waist high obstacles. You can leap over them, which will act similar to staggered enemies. You can do the regular kick or the stronger version and all that, you know. And you can definitely use this to get creative with the room setup. You can also find these one-time use throwable items. You'll find bottles, bricks, and spears lying around. And hitting an enemy will stagger him, but with the spear, it'll send him flying. Plus, it'll go through multiple enemies. We also have Molotovs and grenades to toss. You just gotta buy them or craft them. But all in all, the combat is damn fun. There's a lot of the fan favorite mechanics, which allows for a lot of adaptation and counterplay from both you and the enemies. And honestly, I didn't really expect it to be this thought out. I was for sure caught off guard with how much was here. But yeah, pretty fun. Thing is though, a lot of these abilities are locked away at the start. Gotta do some side quests and activities around the map to get some XP. Just play the game. Crazy concept, right? But yeah, but limited. Once you get some stuff, everything starts lining up and being pretty hype. Even the parkour this time around is pretty cool to mess with. But now I'm gonna wait for some sort of wave-paced mode with some cool arenas to mess around in, taking on all sorts of enemies all at once. So once they add something like that, best believe I'm gonna be back for more.